And the Ravens take possession at their 43 with 4:26 left to play. Quick toss, Henry running to the left side, gets a block. He's at midfield, he's rolling, 40, 30, leg race, 20. The King is on his feet, 10, and he's taken down at the 6-yard line. Derrick Henry has put the Ravens in position to wrap it up. Oh, what a play.
And wrap it up they did. Ravens get the win in Cincinnati, 41-38 in overtime. Welcome to NFL Daily, starting off strong with one of the best games of the year. I'm Greg Rosenthal in the Chris Wesseling podcast studio with Patrick Claybon. Nick Shook joining us from Ohio. And yes, that was Jerry Sandusky on WBAL. It was back and forth, but they gave Lamar and Derrick Henry one more chance. You don't do that, Patrick Claybon.
It was Lamar that actually had the fumble that was tough for him to celebrate after the game because they're on a drive with an opportunity to win. He's clapping as the clock winds down. The ball bounces off of his hands. He forces a fumble. Cincinnati recovers it again. But there's just some chicanery with the clock management and the play management. Zach Taylor elects to run the ball 3 consecutive times. Evan McPherson comes out. There's a bad hold on the kick, and the Ravens get another chance, which is something that I did not think they would do. The drive summary late in this game.
Yes.
Second half drive summary for both teams. Touchdown, 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 interception, touchdown. That's how it was. That was the kind of game, and I did not think Baltimore would get a stop, but that interception is Marlon Humphrey, who was in the wrong place at the wrong time for most of this entire game, finally taking a guess on a shot and picking off Joe Burrow, ultimately giving him a chance to win this game.
It's why I wanted to start with this game, not just because it puts, what is potentially a Super Bowl contender in Cincinnati at 1-4 and really put some wind in the sails of the Ravens, but that it exemplifies this week's games. I think this was the best week of football that we had. We're going to get to a lot of really fun, tight games throughout the day, and it kind of reminded me of the Thursday night game, too. Yes, it's offense, Patrick, but it ended in part because Joe Burrow throws a crucial interception that gives the Ravens an extra possession at the end of regulation. They also punt after getting the ball with 1:35 left, and you're thinking they're going to have a chance. There's the fumble. There's the missed field goal because of the bad snap. And so it was a little bit of everything. It was redemption for Justin Tucker. And Nick Shook, I know they stopped him for a chunk of this game, but man, this Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson offense is just a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it's a lot to deal with. That's why I picked the Ravens in a high-scoring affair. I just didn't think it would be 41-38 high-scoring. I mean, that is extreme, but I guess this is the new age, or at least when you face the Bengals defense. It bums me out for Joe Burrow that he has to be nearly perfect every week to give his team a legitimate chance to win. And he throws one interception at the worst time possible, and it's a backbreaker, and it allows, the Ravens an opportunity to win the game because he's been so good, and yet the Bengals defense has not been anywhere near as good. And going up against a team like the Ravens, number 1 rushing team in the league, Bengals have a soft front. You knew this was going to happen eventually. I'm surprised that they actually contained him as long as they did before they finally broke through. So the final score, while very high, not too much of a surprise in one of the most thrilling games of the year.
And ultimately, in that overtime possession where the Ravens fumbled the ball on the snap to Lamar where he's clapping, a couple of plays before that, Derrick Henry could have ended this game. There was a run to the right side where Henry almost broke free. Hubbard got his ankles. Kind of the story of the game, where the highlight that everybody will remember is Lamar stiff-arming Hubbard twice on a touchdown pass to Isaiah Likely. That's going to be one of those plays that we're going to see a billion times.
Oh, let's listen to it right now. I'm sure Sandusky's got a good call on this one. Let's go to it.
Lamar in the shotgun. Lamar bobbles the snap, has to pick it up off the turf. He's being chased, corralled, stiff arms a man, Sam Hubbard, and finally slings in the back of the end zone. Touchdown! Isaiah Likely. Oh my! Unbelievable! Lamar Jackson bobbled the snap, picked it up off the turf, stiff armed Sam Hubbard, a la Derrick Henry, extended the play, threw back across his body, and hit the tight end. In other words, he did everything wrong for the perfect outcome.
which is the story of the Baltimore Ravens in this particular game, where this game has gotten away from them. It's tough to look at the stat line for Jamar Chase, who had 10 catches for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. There was absolutely a problem on the other side of the ball. Ultimately, the bounces work out for Baltimore where they hadn't earlier in the season, and they get
right. I mean, Marcus Williams has been an issue for the Ravens in their secondary this year, just getting burned for big plays. He was flat-footed on at least one of those Jamar Chase touchdowns where he takes the short pass for 70 yards. T. Higgins, I think, has looked really good the last few weeks. He gets 2 touchdowns, 9 for 83, and yeah, it hurts that Burrow has such an electric game, but then he has that interception, and then he doesn't get a chance at the end, and this stuff is driving me crazy, and I know the kickers are better than they've ever been. We'll get to a few of them that were awesome this week.
Including Tucker's today.
Right.
A driven 59-yarder.
Yes, I shouldn't lose that fact that this was a great day for Justin Tucker to get his groove back with that big one to tie it late in regulation. Then, of course, he hits the short game winner, too, which is always a nice feeling. But they run it 3 straight times, and it has given me flashbacks to Marty Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy and all the coaches that don't trust their quarterback for some reason in the biggest of spots. And yet you can say, well, it was more on the snap, but it's a long kick. And either way, just let them go try to win the game on offense. Like, there was no reason to really worry, but it was maybe in his head, that interception that they had. I'm just going to people are very angry in Cincinnati. Our friend, the Spice Rack, sent me his group Bengals text, and it's just got a lot of F-bombs. I can't even really read it, but they want everyone fired is basically the answer. That is effing embarrassing, effing losers, absolute effing losers, F this staff, and this is kind of where Bengals fans are right now.
I've never seen so many swear words in my life.
This is me actually editing it down.
I wish we could show this.
Maybe, if you watch on YouTube, maybe after the fact, or I'll put it out on social with some things blurted out. But prayers to Spice Rack. Maybe this is the game, though, that I thought that the Ravens deserve. I know Bengals fans won't want to hear this, but the Ravens should be 3-2. They're a good team. They're the first team, Nick, to rush for more than 1,000 yards in the first 5 games of the season since the 2006 Falcons with Michael Vick and Michael the Burner Turner, and only the second team since '84. So they seem perfectly built in 2024, where it's more about running than passing to win. And yet today, Lamar, throws for 348 and 4 touchdowns. He gets both his tight ends involved, or 3 tight ends involved. Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews goes 4 for 55, and Kohler goes wild. So they have to feel really good about their offense and getting a tough division win.
Yeah, I mean, entering the week, the Ravens were in first in rushing yards per game by a margin of more than 45 yards per game. Like, that's significant in the league. And it makes you realize that then they can go out and Lamar can throw for 348 and 4 touchdowns. And you're like, I don't know how to stop this team. This is what makes them so scary. In fact, folks probably look back at their 0-2 start and think, God, we should have. I wish the Cowboys would have buried them when they had an opportunity. Kind of like where the Bengals are at 1-4 right now. I wish somebody else would have. Because this team's on a roll already.
Well, you know what happened? Now they're built to play from behind now, Greg.
Oh, yeah.
Where previously apparently they weren't built to play from behind, but now that's a little roster construction hack.
Maybe it is good for them actually, because they've given up all those 10-point leads. They're not built to play with the lead, and they're one of the few teams we were thinking we were a certain team, which we'll talk about soon. Patrick and I have put on Fraud Watch, and then I was thinking about it. I was like, well, other than the Vikings and the Ravens, you could put the whole league on Fraud Watch right now. But the Ravens are feeling good at 3-2,